80 years. It is a lifetime. For most of us, that feels like a long, long time ago, a story from a history book. But for some, it is not history, it is a memory. It lives with them every single day. In 2025, we mark 80 years, since 2 bombs fell from the sky. They fell on 2 cities in Japan, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. These bombs were a new kind of weapon. They brought a sudden, terrible end to a world war. But they also started a story of survival, a story we must all hear. Imagine a normal morning. The sun is shining. The air is warm. That was August 6, 1945, in Hiroshima. Then, at 8:15 in the morning, a light brighter than 1,000 suns filled the sky. It was not a beautiful light. It was a terrifying, silent flash. Seconds later, a sound like the world tearing apart shook the ground. Buildings turned to dust. Homes made of wood and paper exploded into flame. People who were outside were instantly burned. The heat was so intense it left shadows of people baked onto stone walls and steps. In one moment, a busy city became a wasteland of fire and ruin. People did not know what had happened. Setsuko Thurlow was 13 years old. She was in a building that collapsed around her. She remembers hearing a voice in the dark.
"Don't give up, keep pushing. I am trying to free you."
She was pulled from the wreckage. Outside, she saw a nightmare. She saw people walking like ghosts. They were silent, holding their arms out to ease the pain. They were desperate for water. The rivers were choked with the dead and the dying. This was the immediate reality. It was a hell on earth created by human hands. The bombs did more than destroy buildings. They left a lasting wound on the bodies of the survivors. In the weeks and months that followed, people who seemed unhurt began to fall ill. They developed purple spots on their skin. Their hair fell out. They suffered from fevers and weakness. This was radiation sickness. Doctors had never seen anything like it. They had no cure. Many people who had survived the initial blast died this slow, agonizing death. The bomb's poison was working its way through their cells. A cruel and invisible killer haunted the cities long after the fires were extinguished. For those who lived, the physical challenges continued for the rest of their lives. Many were left with thick, painful scars called keloids. These scars tightened their skin, making it hard to move. They were a visible daily reminder of the fire. Beyond the scars, there was a constant fear of cancer. Leukemia rates soared among survivors. Thyroid, lung, and stomach cancers appeared years later. Every ache, every pain brought a wave of anxiety. They lived with a medical uncertainty that became a lifelong burden. The harm was not only physical, the bomb seared itself into their minds. Survivors were haunted by what they had seen. They suffered from nightmares filled with fire and screams. Loud noises could trigger panic. Many felt a deep, unshakable guilt. Why did I survive when my friends, my family, did not? This question echoed for decades. Discrimination followed. People were afraid of them, fearing contagion and genetic harm. It became hard to find jobs, hard to marry. They carried physical and mental scars, and the stigma of survival. Their suffering was layered, deep, and profoundly lonely. As they grew older, the Hibakusha made a choice. They decided their pain should not be meaningless. They chose to speak. They transformed their private trauma into a public mission. They began to share their stories with the world. Not for pity, not for revenge. They spoke so that no one else would ever have to suffer what they did. They traveled to schools, to community centers, to the United Nations. They spoke with a quiet dignity and an unshakable resolve. Their message was clear. This must never happen again. They became the world's most powerful advocates for nuclear disarmament. Their warnings are especially important today. The nuclear threat has not gone away. It has evolved. New countries now have these weapons. New technology makes them faster and more powerful. Leaders speak of them as a tool, not a last resort. This kind of talk chills the Hibakusha to the bone. These are not just tools. They are instruments of total annihilation. A limited nuclear war is a fantasy. Once one is used, the door opens to unimaginable catastrophe for all humanity. Sumateru Taniguchi often showed his scars to cameras. He did it so people could see. He wanted them to look away from sanitized language and see the real human cost. He said, "I want you to understand the horror." The Hibakusha ask us to do just that. Look past the politics and see the people. Every targeted city is full of children, families, and dreams. They are not abstract targets on a map. They are homes. So what do they ask of us? They ask us to listen. They ask us to learn the facts. They ask us to raise our own voices. They urge us to support treaties that reduce and eliminate nuclear arsenals. They ask us to demand that our leaders choose diplomacy and dialogue over threats and intimidation. An informed, engaged public is the world's best defense against nuclear war. Their plea is not radical. It is rooted in the most basic human instinct, the desire to protect our children and our future. They have turned their suffering into a powerful, enduring call to action for all of us. The lesson from the Hibakusha is painfully simple. The cost of a nuclear weapon is not measured on the day it is used. Its true cost is paid over generations. It is paid in bodies racked with cancer. It is paid in minds haunted by trauma. It is paid in the fear a mother feels for her unborn child. The consequences are not political or strategic. They are deeply and devastatingly human. Their lives are a testament to a suffering that stretches across a lifetime. We must not look away. We must let it settle in our hearts. The survivors do not ask for the impossible. They ask for our attention. They ask for our empathy. They want a world where our first priority is to care for one another. They want minds dedicated to healing, leaders who talk, and who build bridges instead of bombs. They want young people to grow up without the shadow of annihilation. Their hope is for a future defined by compassion, not fear. On this 80th anniversary, their voices may be softer, their numbers may be fewer, but their message is more urgent than ever.